Hello everybody. With Pokemon Gold and Silver being announced for the Virtual Console on Nintendo 2DS and 3DS consoles, and with my current playthrough on my Game Boy Advance on Pokemon Silver version, I thought I would make this video on 10 Pokemon to consider using in Gold and Silver. This isn't about which are the best to use, because to be honest, Pokemon Gold and Silver doesn't have a large pool of Pokemon to use, and the best ones to use have been done to death. So commonly suggested Pokemon such as Drowsy, Abra, Machop, Eevee, and Mareep I will not mention, along with, legendary starter Pokemon exclusive to the post-game Kantos such as Slugma, and I will also not include Pokemon found anywhere north or east of Mahogany Town. I consider that too late in the game to be useful without considerable grinding aside from Red Gyarados. So this does limit the candidates a bit, but if you want to use Pokemon that I don't mention in this video, go for it. This is just my opinion, and let me know yours in the comments section. So let's begin. So number 10, the Nidoran, male or female, doesn't really matter, just slight stat differerences, but overall they work just the same. Geodude with low kick is only accessible after beating Whitney, so if you don't want to use Machop, these are your best options. They evolved fairly early, so they are stronger than some of the other Pokemon you could be using that take a little bit longer to evolve, but since the Moonstone is only available late in the game, as well as pretty much all evolutionary stones, aside from the Sunstone, it's you're not going to be getting Nidoking or Nidoqueen anytime soon, so their usefulness is pretty limited. And the fact that this is number 10 shows you the options are pretty limited in Gold and Silver. But anyway, 9, Heracross. You'll need a little bit of luck with Headbutt to obtain it. If you're persistent or lucky enough to catch one, its high attack stat will definitely destroy a lot of the things early on in the game. In fact, probably even late on in the game as well, because even in and around the 8th gym, there are a lot of not fully evolved Pokemon used by the trainers. This isn't like the newer games where by the time you get to the 7th or 8th gym, pretty much all the trainers use at least Pokemon that have evolved once. But unfortunately, its only sources of stab are Fury Cutter, Rock Smash, Reversal, and Mega Horn. So for most of the game, you're probably going to be rocking with Fury Cutter and Rock Smash, which based on Heracross's attack stat will still be doing a lot of damage, but it's not the greatest thing in the world. Number 8, Spiro. It hits harder than the other early available normal flying types, such as Pidgey, Hoot, and Togetic, and that's pretty much it. I mean, it's a flying type, so be great against the plethora of grass, fighting, and bug type Pokemon you'll find in the Johto region. And if you followed Maryland's Gold Nuzlocke, Spiro has actually been pretty useful, so definitely go for it. Even if you'll just be spamming Fly and Drill Peck, it definitely has a role. Number 7, Ghastly. It's tough to use early on because it doesn't have too many attacking moves, and of course in this generation, both of Ghastly's stab types are physical, while Ghastly is more of a special attacker. But Sludge Bomb and Shadow Ball still do enough under Gengar, but it does get useful TMs such as the Elemental Punches, and it is immune to common, normal, and fighting type moves. Number 6, Geodude. It's a pretty straightforward Pokemon, but it does lose its value by the time you get to Sudowoodo, since Sudowoodo does have access to Rock Slide, whereas if you want a Geodude or its evolutions with Rock Slide and Gold and Silver, you have to trade it to Red, Blue, or Yellow first and use that TM. However, its ground typing does give it a lot of good switch-ins, but you're pretty much going to be relying on Headbutt, Rock Throw, and Magnitude or Earthquake. You could teach it Dynamic Punch if you are willing to take the risk. You could teach it Fire Punch for coverage if you're okay with its mediocre special attack. Tentacool. It's a very common water-type Pokemon. It's obtainable at a pretty decent level by the time you encounter it. You won't have to level it up as much as some of the other Pokemon, especially if you catch it as a Tentacruel. Another simple but effective move pool, it will fill its role pretty well. I mean, Bubble Beam or Surf will do enough damage to anything it should be battling in the first place. And if you do, I won't be covering Kanto too much, but the fact that it does get Giga Drain when you defeat Erica is pretty nice as well. So number 4, Magnemite. Mareep is available much earlier and does have access to Fire Punch as an Ampharos or Flaffy. So Magnemite is kind of like not as useful in this game. But if you are willing to take the risk with Zap Cannon, you can do that either by level up or by TM. In addition, if you combine it with Lock On, then Zap Cannon will never miss. So if you're willing to sacrifice an extra turn of setup and you really are against moves missing, do go with that Lock On combination. With the Steel typing, Magneton does have a lot of resistances, so it's pretty safe for Nuzlocke if you do that. But unfortunately, its move pool in this generation, it prevents it from being as useful as it would be in future generations, but still a good Pokemon to try to use. Number 3, Sudowoodo. It's obtainable at a fairly good level. Like, to put in perspective, Whitney's Miltank in Gold and Silver is level 20. Sudowoodo is found in the wild at level 20. So you won't have to grind it too much. If you give it a few levels, it could probably do a decent amount to Morty's Pokemon. And the strategy is simple. And you know, Maryland said it very well in the Kanto portion of his Nuzlocke. Press A to win. For Sudowoodo, well, first you have to get to level 28 where it learns Rock Slide. But after that, press Rock Slide to win. Rock Slide is probably the best Rock-type move in this game. Ancient Power is decent, but its low power points really hinders it. And it has a usable attack and defense, so it's pretty useful for offense and defense. Spiro's decent Pokemon to use. Number 2, Wooper. Wooper and Quagsire don't have the best base stats in the world, but its typing and move pool gives a usable role in pretty much every gym and most battles in general. I remember in a while back, before this current playthrough of Silver, I had a Quagsire that was able to defeat Whitney. I wasn't sure how, but I think I just slugged through and, like, you know, used some potions and was able to increase the damage output somehow, and Rollout didn't do too much. Probably had some support from the rest of my team, but I remember Quagsire coming in clutch a number of times, including that battle. And the cool thing about Quagsire is, as of level 31, Quagsire has access to Ice Punch through the TM and Goldenrod, Earthquake through Level Up, and Surf through the HM. And from that point on, you're set. Like, you can add a number of moves like Rain Dance or something, but ultimately, Quagsire gets a lot of good moves early on, so it's definitely worth it. So, Lapras is number 1. If you go right to Union Cave after defeating Morty, it's still level 20, so you do have to level it up a bit, but it's not a pain to have it catch up to the rest of the team at that point. There's a lot of possibilities. Unfortunately, you don't have access to some of the TMs like Thunderbolt or Psychic that made it really great in Generation 1 to use. Like with Surf, Psychic, Ice Beam, and Thunderbolt, Lapras was capable of sweeping the entire Elite Four and Champion in Red and Blue. Probably Yellow as well. But anyway, with this said as well, Lapras still does a decent amount of damage. It has great stats, can be useful in almost every major battle. The key and why it's number 1 is because it gets Ice Beam at level 36. So it's probably the best Pokemon you can use against Claire at that point in the game. It'll definitely be a key figure in your victory against Lance should you choose to use Lapras. And that's it for this video. I'm sorry if the PowerPoint was a little bare bones. I had a lot of stuff going on with games I've been playing, preparing for grad school, and going places. But let me know what you think, and I hope this video is useful to you.